Alright, guys, so today we are going to be doing our second ever podcast for the channel, and we are going to be talking about Doctor Strange. We are going in full spoilers here, so if you haven't watched the movie yet, watch my non-spoiler review, which I'll either attach to this video or in the description, so check that out if you haven't watched the movie yet. So here today I have with me, you guys know Mark from my last podcast. Mark, yep. And we have a new person here, Shav.
Hey.
Okay, so yeah, let's get straight into it. The first category we have today is, how did you find the movie? Look, Mark, let's start with you.
I thought it was a really, really good film.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about Doctor Strange before I went into it, apart from the fact that he is in the Avengers in the comic books. So going in, I went in blind, and it completely surprised me how good it was.
Okay. So what about you?
I'm the same with Mark. Like, I didn't really know like the storyline of Doctor Who. I didn't know what to.
Doctor Strange.
I
Doctor Strange. Continue.
yeah, I didn't know what to expect, but then I ended up really liking it. So yeah.
Alright. Well, for me, like I said in my non-spoiler review, it was a good movie. I found it very enjoyable, entertaining, but there were many problems I found in the movie. And like me, I decided that I'm trying to look at the movie more critically now, because obviously I'm trying to review these movies in a professional way. Obviously I'm not like professional. I'm not claiming to be a professional or anything, but I'm trying to, work up to that level. So I'm trying to look for the movie's flaws. So that's why I'm more harsh on this movie than most people are, than the people who I went with, really, because most of the people who I went with, well, everyone were praising it, whereas me, it sounded like I liked it the least, but that's not the case. I really liked it. So yeah, like I said, it was enjoyable, entertaining, but yeah, there were problems with it. So, but we'll get to the problems later on in this video, in this podcast. So, moving on to the second category is, who is your favorite character? Shall we start with you?
My favorite character would have to be the ancient one.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like even though her appearance was human, she's kind of like herself like a god kind of figure in the movie.
Okay.
So like she's kind of like the figure that everyone looks up to.
Yeah.
So I kind of love that. And she's a woman. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
That don't happen very often.
So in the comics, like the ancient one is a male, but they they did gender bending in this movie, and that led to many fans backlashing that they were very angry. But I felt that Tilda Swinton, she did a pretty good job.
I think it was really good.
Yeah, she did a pretty good job. So Mark, what about you? Who's your favorite character?
My favorite character had to be Wong.
Wong was funny.
I think that's the reason why he's my favorite, because like he just like the comic stuff with him just worked.
Yeah, it was funny. That time when we was listening to Beyonce.
And the part at the end as well, where it's like the whole there's kind of like a running gag throughout the film about how Doctor Strange isn't a funny guy. Yeah, and then he just starts laughing at the situation.
That was funny. I remember that one. That was funny. Yeah, for me, I have a few. I have Doctor Strange, the main character, of course. Barramodo. Well, actually, his name was not Barramodo. What's his name again? Kyle something. It begins with a K or something Modo. But yeah, the black guy, you know what I mean.
The only black guy.
Yeah, the guy 12 years a slave.
Yeah, I really liked him. Let's start with Doctor Strange. I like Doctor Strange because I like his journey throughout from the beginning of the movie to the end. Like, we see his growth, we see his character. We started the movie with him being arrogant, an arrogant doctor, selfish, only caring about himself. And the end of the movie, obviously, he's now caring for other people. It's not just all about him, and we see that journey throughout the movie. So I really like his character arc. And Barramoto, what I like about Barramoto, especially towards the end, is that for his reasoning for turning evil, as we see in the post-credit scene, because he feels that even good sorcerers, even they sometimes use dark magic and stuff. So he feels that the only way to reduce this problem is by getting rid of the sorcerers, because even if the good sorcerers are using dark magic, then that means they're like
They're bad technically.
Yeah, bad technically. Yeah. So I like his motivation, and I'm really excited to see him as the main villain for the second movie. So yeah, Baron Mordo and Doctor Strange, they are my two favorite characters.
Wait, you think it's going to be a second one? Because I think it's going to play into the Thor movie.
In the Thor movie,
Yeah.
Baron Mordo.
I think he'll play into it.
Nah, I don't think so, because
Doctor Strange will be in it, and I feel
Yeah,
like
Doctor Strange-
I reckon he'll have a small cameo in it.
No, yeah, but Doctor Strange, I reckon his only scene in Thor will be that post-credit scene that we saw.
Okay.
That'll definitely be
Yeah.
his only scene. But Baron Mordo, I don't think he's going to be in the movie. Number one, because we haven't even heard of him being announced in the movie. But I know they won't announce that. That'll probably be a surprise.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Thor is already crowded as it is, because they have Hulk, they have what's that villain's name? Lady Death or something. I can't remember.
I know what you mean.
Then we have the whole Planet Hulk situation, the Grandmaster, and to add Baron Mordo in that, it's just a bit. Yeah, it's a bit too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit too much. So I don't
Fair
think.
point.
Yeah. Anyway, so moving on. What didn't you like about the movie? Start with you.
Yeah, so I actually didn't. There was a lot that I liked about it. There's not a lot I can say I disliked.
Yeah.
Apart from watching it, it felt like I was watching the first Iron Man film, because you got the arrogance of Doctor Strange, same with the arrogance as Iron Man.
Yeah.
Then he gets in an accident, like Tony Stark does, which kind of motivates him to become a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt that's the only thing I didn't like, is it was too similar to Iron Man.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Like, because obviously Iron Man, in Iron Man 1, he was arrogant, he was only caring about himself.
Yeah.
So in that regard, Doctor Strange is a bit like Iron Man. So yeah, I agree with you. So is there anything else that you didn't like?
No, that's it really.
Okay, what about you? So,
I think like I loved the film so much, there's barely anything that like I didn't like. I think the most part that I didn't like was that like the story was too short. Like I wanted to see like Doctor Strange character grow a bit more than
I felt that he grew up quite a bit, and
very quickly.
yeah, that's what I mean.
quickly.
Like in a very short of
But then
amount of
I feel
time.
I guess they explained it by saying he's very quick.
He's a
so.
quick learner. Yeah, he's a quick learner. Yeah, but I agree, like the movie, it was short. It was an hour and 55 minutes, and it did kind of feel a bit short compared to something like Civil War, which was 2 hours and 2.5 hours or so. So yeah, I agree with you on that. But
I want to hear your problems though, because you seem to have a lot.
I have a lot. I have many problems. So, like one of my problems that I had, well, this was a nitpicky one. I spoke to you, Mark, about this yesterday, about the Infinity Stone. That was one of the problems I had. The Infinity Stone, like, it was the way he had it, and then the Ancient One, Baron Mordo, and One, they all saw him use it, but they didn't, like, comment on it. They just kind of accepted that he had it. But this is an Infinity Stone, the most powerful.
It was Infinity Stone, right? They all knew it was an Infinity Stone.
Yeah, they all knew it. The eye, and for those who don't know, the Infinity Stone that we're talking about is in the Eye of Agamotto. That's the Infinity Stone that we're talking about. So, yeah, I feel that powerful object, the most powerful weapon in the universe, they should at least acknowledge it. They didn't even acknowledge it until the very end when Doctor Strange put it down.
He didn't really get punished.
Exactly. And they just let him have it. But that's kind of a nitpicky. That's just a minor thing. But let me get into one of the other big problems I had. Actually, one of my biggest problems with the villains, but let me get to the villains that's another category for later on down the line. But I felt that the structure of the movie was good, like, because it had a clear structure. We knew what was the beginning. We knew Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, etc. But I felt that in the middle, I wasn't really a big fan of the middle half of the movie, because it felt for me kind of flat. That's just the way I feel. Like, I felt kind of
about when they went to the New York Sanctum, right?
Just before that, like during the. Around that time. Around that time.
Yeah,
Around that time.
Yeah, I get that as well.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that bit, but I know what you mean. It was a bit slower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, around that time. So, what about you? What didn't you like about the movie? Or what have we covered you already?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving
Come
on.
on.
Moving on. Yeah, here we go. Thoughts on the villains, Caecilius and Dormammu, who we didn't even know was going to be in this movie. Dormammu, that was the big surprise. I'm guessing many of you didn't know he was going to be in the movie, but there we go. He was in the movie. What did you think of the villains?
So I liked Caecilius a lot. Is in that, like, of course he had, the same sort of Marvel film trope of they're not like powerful. They think, oh, they're screwed.
Yeah.
But I felt like he served his purpose of, sort of trying to getting from him to Dormammu. It
Yeah.
worked. And what I do like is there was a ruthless about him.
Yeah.
Where he wouldn't he wasn't sort of taking a step back. He went and he actually killed people.
Yeah.
To get what he wanted.
Yeah. So.
But then with Dormammu, I felt like he was in comparison to Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange was like instantly way more powerful than Dormammu. But then I guess that could just be down to the fact that he had the time gem with him.
What about you?
I love, is it Caecilius?
Yeah,
I
Caecilius.
love them, because, like, I love how they did his face as well, like his face makeup, like how it seemed like he was crying, but at the same time he has no emotion.
That's true,
like, I really love that part, and it's just like he just works, even though like he's meant to be scary. You know, that bit when he got captured with that armor thing, it was like instantly he was funny. Like,
that's true. Yeah,
I loved it. Like, it just shows like he's just a normal like student as well, like from the ancient one. He's just like kind of, it makes him human, but at the same time it doesn't.
Yeah, that's true. Because
that makes any
he had
sense.
quite a lot of comic stuff, like the whole Strange.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay, so for me, the villain.
Here we go. Here we go.
Yep, here we go. The villain. I did not like the villain. Well, I did not like both villains. In fact, Caecilius and Dormammu. Caecilius, I got more to say about, so let me just start with Dormammu. Dormammu, I felt he was just kind of shoehorned in. He wasn't there. He wasn't necessary.
Felt like he was an extra.
He did surprise me a lot though, because like even though it was kind of obvious where they were going, I wasn't expecting there to actually be. Like,
Yeah,
Dormammu.
exactly.
Because that opens up like a massive door now for what they can do.
Exactly.
In future films.
Yeah, and he was defeated like very easy as well.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be like that
Yeah.
as well.
And don't get me started on the way he looked. Oh my, he looks horrible. The way I see it. The visuals of the movie were very good, but the way because Dormammu from the comics, like he's like Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has the flaming stuff.
yeah.
But all I got was like the visuals of the movie blended into his face.
It reminded me of Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, something like that.
Massive head.
Yeah, something like that. Nah, I didn't like that at all. But that's all I have to say about Dormammu. For Caecilius, on the other hand, that guy.
Don't be such a hater.
Yeah, I'm not a hater. I'm just trying to do it from my point of view. For Caecilius, I don't like him because I didn't really get what he was trying to do. I didn't really get his motive. I didn't really get what his overall goal was. He was trying to do something for Dormammu.
I was gonna say, like, most like movies, when they have villains, they would go back in time to show that like how the villain got to that point.
Yeah.
Whereas in this movie, he's just a villain, like just
and
like
they kind
that.
of just said it in like sentences.
Yeah, exactly.
He was the next
that's
villain.
that's the thing with
It
Marvel.
works for me though. I don't mind it when they just kind of do the story in the dialogue.
Yeah.
I find that it's better that way, because then you don't have to do like the cut to
Yeah.
the backstory, then cut back to the
I know what you
sort of
mean.
thing. But
Plus, it is a short film anyway, so I get why they didn't do that.
Yeah, I know what I mean. And I mentioned in my non-spoiler review that I'm surprised that this villain is not as good as it should have been, because in Captain America Civil War we had two good villains in Crossbones and Zemo. Zemo, one of my favorite MCU villains of all time now. So I thought that was a big step up for Marvel in terms of their villains, because as we know, Marvel are not really good with their villains. But with what they did with Zemo and Crossbones. So to see them take a step down, I'm really disappointed with that. And so yeah, Caecilius, is he dead or something?
No.
He's not dead. Wait, so
I
what
don't
happened to him? I
think so.
forgot.
Actually, yeah, he did die because he completely he vaporized into the
Oh yeah, when he
yeah.
made
Yeah.
Dormammu made that deal. Yeah. So and that's another thing. Marvel,
odd.
they killed off yet another villain.
I thought they would have kept him around.
I'm just glad they didn't kill off Zemo because Zemo's actually someone who I actually like. But Casillas, they could have just kept him around, making him a better villain for next time we see him. Maybe in an Infinity War. Maybe we'll see him in Infinity War or something. So this just gets me worried for an Infinity War because what if they mess up Thanos? If they mess up Thanos, then I don't
That's
know.
a very hard thing to do, but
If they mess up
do
Thanos,
it,
then there's no hope for any other villain. That's all I'm having to say.
Question for you then, just like what would you do to make the villains better in the films?
To make the villain better, give him more screen time because for the villains they don't have enough screen time. They don't show their side of the story. You know what I mean? That's what I would say. Well, what would you do?
I think pretty much what you're saying, which is give them more screen time.
Yeah.
And like it would be tough to do, but like you could even do them like I don't know. Yeah, you could give them their own movie, but it's only if there's demand for it, like a Loki.
Loki. Yeah, he deserves it. I mean, someone like Loki, Thanos. You could say Ultron if he ever came back.
Yeah,
but yeah,
that's a hard thing to do because it's a villain.
And if I were to choose any of the dead villains to come back, it will be Ultron, and because I need him, I want Ultron to come back, and I want him to be as menacing as he was in the trailers. Because if he was as menacing as he was in the trailers, then I would have said Ultron would definitely be my favorite MCU villain. Because in the trailers, I was actually legit scared of him. But yeah, anyway, moving on. In the movie, what was your favorite scene? Let's start with you.
My favorite scene would have to be when Doctor Strange finally mastered the arts of like sorcering, and he's like trying to study more, but the books that he wanted were like under Wong's surveillance, so he goes and steals it. So it's kind of I love that.
I agree with you. That was one of my favorite scenes as well, where one was listening to Beyonce and Doctor Strange was trying to get the books as well. That was one of my favorite scenes. Another one of my favorite scenes was actually one of the post-credit scenes was when Doctor Strange and Thor had that conversation. Because I legit had a big smile on my face because seeing Thor there,
Thor's face as well when he saw the beard refilling.
The thing about that is it sets the tone for what that film's going to be like. So
and it also confirms that Doctor Strange is going to be in Thor Ragnarok as well as the Hulk. So I'm very excited. And for me, Thor films they're like the worst parts of the MCU. So I think Thor Ragnarok, I'm really excited for that film because they got Hulk. They're doing Planet Hulk basically for that film. So yeah, I'm really excited. What did you think? What was your
my
favorite scene?
So for me, all the fight scenes were my favorite parts. I like my fight scenes.
Yeah.
And so it's more the visuals behind the fight scenes and how the choreography behind it. It kind of leaves you like wow when you're watching it. How all the surroundings are moving.
Yeah.
And how the fluid flow of the like fights and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the fight scenes, they were decent, but not Civil War level. Civil War fight scenes were another.
Civil Wars were good.
Yeah.
I think with that one is because there was a mixture of different styles. Where you had like Black Panther's sort of cat-like fight style. You had Spider-Man using his web slings. You had Ant-Man becoming Giant Man.
I know. So for Civil War, what they did, like in the airport scene, how at first they all had a pair, like Hawkeye and Black Widow, Iron Man, Captain America, etc. They didn't just stick to those pairs; they mixed up a bit, so that kept the fight scenes more interesting. Because it wasn't just Iron Man versus Captain America all throughout the airport scene. It was Captain America versus Spider-Man, Iron Man versus Hawkeye, or you get the idea.
Yeah.
So it was different people, so it was very interesting. So yeah. Anyway, next category is thoughts on the Ancient One's death. Shab, let's start with you.
I love that part, like honestly, because you know, when as I said earlier, like I kind of saw her kind of like a godly in a kind of godly view,
Yeah.
but like when she like went out of her body, like her spirit went out of her body, and like Doctor Strange followed her, and they had that conversation,
Yeah.
and about how like some people might see her like taking some energy off like from the like bad like what's it called, like the bad
Bad guys.
yeah, it's so hard to explain. It's just like, but she's like, it's just really just a curse, like what I've done to myself is a curse, because now time is just going so slow for me, and like, you know, you kind of realize, oh shit, like she has been around for centuries, like she's been close to like people and like, you know, different characters, and she'd seen them like die or like do something bad, but like no one really kind of like understands that view, and then she just decided to just like go, like this is her time now, like, so I kind of love it, like made her more human, kind of.
Okay. What about you, sir?
So quickly, I just remembered my favourite scene.
Yeah.
Was when I said fight scenes.
Yeah.
Out of all of them, it was the one when he's fighting. He's like dead.
Yeah.
And he's fighting the other guy. And you've got
Oh
the nurse
yeah,
trying to,
yeah,
like,
that one was good.
Oh, that was a really good scene.
Yeah, that one was good.
Yeah, but going with the Ancient One's death. Oh, I thought it was really obvious from the start. It was like she's gonna die at some point.
Yeah.
She has to die for Doctor Strange to, you know,
Really?
do what he has to do. I saw it coming.
I didn't. To be honest, I didn't see it
No.
coming. But that
No.
was obviously the lowest part of the movie.
Okay.
And like I said about towards the beginning of this podcast, like it was, the structure was very solid because you knew which pits were which.
Yeah.
You knew like
Yeah.
because this was definitely the lowest part of the movie.
That was gonna be my
where-
next point, which is like it was a very poetic death.
Yeah.
You know, like she's kind of she's saying how she can't see past that certain point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like going, you know, the dialogue was good.
Yeah.
And then the good thing about it was that you knew from that moment that you're moving into the very final act of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, I'm not gonna lie, when the Ancient One died, I felt nothing. I had no emotions.
I was attached.
I had no emotions. Like I wasn't attached to her. Like I was like, okay, she's dead.
The minute she was like, the time's like here now for me to stop.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my
That point I was
gosh.
like, that's deep.
But I'm
No.
but
Deep. It was deep.
yeah, I didn't see it
I'm like,
coming.
you
I
can
didn't think
just
she.
retire.
Yeah. I didn't see it coming. I didn't think she was gonna die, but when she did, I was like, okay. But the way she died, I was like, oh, that must hurt. That the way she fell,
Yeah.
the way she fell and hit her head,
Yeah,
like,
that
Yeah.
surprised me
Yeah.
as well.
that surprised me as well. So yeah. Also, another thing I just wanted to add into this, I didn't really add this in our notes, but the love interest. What was her name? Well, let's just say
The
Call her
nurse.
Rachel McAdams.
yeah, Rachel McAdams' character,
Yeah.
who is presumably night nurse. Well, that was supposed to be Claire from Daredevil, but
Okay.
they changed it. That she's not night nurse anymore. It's now this character, Rachel McAdams' character. So, what were your thoughts on her?
So you know how, like I was saying to you before, is when it romances, I don't like when they're shoehorned in.
Yeah,
What I felt with this one is they didn't. It was done well.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't forced.
yeah.
Where, like,
Yeah.
you could see the dynamic between the two. They didn't have to tell you these two are going to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Even though
Yeah.
it wasn't an official relationship.
Yeah.
Of sorts. It was
Yeah.
more. You could tell they were colleagues who were
Yeah.
just really
Yeah.
close.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, it wasn't shoehorned. It wasn't so in your nose that these two are
Yeah.
definitely going to be in a relationship. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I didn't like. Even when Doctor Strange, they had that kiss on the cheek moment. I'm like I didn't really feel anything there. Like,
Yeah.
but
That's kind of what I like. This is I didn't want to feel anything. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like you know, with like say the Thor films.
yeah,
How like
Yeah.
Thor and Jane, like they're kind of you're just forcing it too much,
yeah,
and that kind of took me out of the film.
okay,
Whereas with this one, it was the focus was on Doctor Strange,
Yeah.
and you knew that that the night nurse was there as almost as like that human aid.
okay. Well, for me, like, I felt that Rachel McAdams' character, she didn't really have a character arc in the character arc in the
not at all.
movie. Like, she was only there to basically treat Doctor Strange whenever he got injured. So that's how I feel about her character. So what do you think, Shav?
Yeah, I agree. I really do love how they did it, like the love story kind of, cause like to me, it kind of have that mature feeling to it. It's
Yeah.
not that cheesy, like romantic kind of stuff. So it really is aimed at like people like our age, like immature, like, you know, not kind of like the younger audience.
It wasn't like hulking.
Because we do understand, like, okay, you don't need to be that clingy in a relationship. We don't need to do that.
Yeah.
But let him deal with all his problems by himself. It's like a grown genius man.
Yeah.
You don't need to baby him.
Because I was afraid that they would do something where, what's his face, the bad guy.
Yeah, Caecilius.
Yeah, I was hoping that I was really like I was like, please don't do it with Caecilius. I was hoping he wouldn't go to the night nurse and take her and be like, oh, I've got your love interest. I would have left. I would have left. Not this again.
Yeah.
That'll be too cliche. Too cliche. Yeah. So moving on to the next category, where does this movie rank in your favorite Marvel origin movies in the MCU? Let's start with you.
For me, because it's like my recent one as well, but for me, this one's my favorite one. Because it touches like psychological and scientific ways as well.
Yeah.
Like I love how they manage to like get me interested, and I'm not like in debt with you guys. Like I don't really know like the ins and outs. But it got to me. I'm just like, oh my god. Like at some point I'm like, okay, I can be a sorceress. Like I can believe this shit is happening.
Yeah.
Kind of like vibe to it. So yeah, it's my favorite at the moment.
Okay. Mark, what about you?
Mine, it's before seeing the film, my top 3 was Ant-Man first, then Iron Man, then Thor.
Yep.
But then after seeing it, Doctor Strange is now the third favourite.
Yep. Wait, what was your third again?
Thor.
Okay. So for me, well, I'm not actually gonna give my overall list because I was gonna make a video of this like in the next few days. So I'm just gonna say that Doctor Strange is in my top 5. Where, well, if you want to know where, well, tune into my top 5 MCU origin movies video, which I'll post probably Friday or Monday, depending. We'll just have to wait and see. So yeah, moving on to the final topic of today's podcast. What is your overall rating for the movie? And let me just start off because mine's probably going to be the lowest. So let's just end on a positive. Yeah. So what I rate the movie. Yesterday I said it's between 6.5 and 7, but I'm not giving it 6.5. That's too low. It deserves more than that. So in my non-spoiler review, I gave it 7. I'm going to stick with that. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. Mark.
For me, I would give it an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
Which is, that kind of like, that seems to be my standard with
Yeah.
Marvel films, where like, if I enjoy it, 8
Yeah.
out of 10. If I don't, then it'll be like 6, 7.
Okay.
And well, the reason behind that is because out of all the films,
Yeah.
it stands out on its own.
Okay.
A bit like why, that's why I like Ant-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy, because they're their own film. Like, even though they're part of the broad like Marvel universe,
Yeah.
it's still kind of self-contained.
Yeah.
And also because of the visuals. The visuals is probably the reason why
Yeah.
the 8 out of 10 gets
Okay.
that. Yeah.
So what was your overall rating?
For me, I'd be the highest, and I'd give
Don't
it
say
9
10.
out of 10.
Okay, I was about to say don't say 10. Don't say
I
10.
haven't watched the Marvel film that I'd rate 10 out of 10.
Civil War for me, I gave Civil War a
course.
20 out of 10. I don't know. I legit gave it a 20 out of 10.
Yeah.
Now, watch my non-spoiler review, you will see I gave it a 20 out of 10. I really love that movie. My favorite movie.
How many times did you watch it now? Like what?
I watched it 7,
Oh my
7
god.
6 or 7 times. And I've watched individual clips of that movie multiple times. So if you count all those, then probably
You and
30.
Yeah.
30. And also, another thing that I wanted to add is that I almost did not go to see this movie. It's very, and Mark knows this as well. Mark knows this because obviously of my belief, obviously I'm Christian, obviously. So there was this video that I watched on YouTube the other day about how Marvel was.
God,
Yeah,
here we go.
No, we're not gonna get into. We're not getting. I'm not gonna preach to you guys. But yeah, long story short, like this video, like it just like got me thinking, should I watch Doctor Strange or not? But at the end of the day, I just decided to watch it.
It
But
was worth it though. It was
yeah.
worth it.
So yeah, all is all, and that wraps up our second podcast of this channel. What did you guys think of the movie? If you watched it, feel free to post spoilers down below in the comment, because this is a spoiler video. So let me know what you guys think. Share this podcast with your friends, like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys later for more podcast videos.
Bye.
Bye.